D-Mac is standing at the edge of a dangerous choice, and every move he makes now could decide whether he rises, falls, or disappears for good. After everything he survived in Season 2, he's no longer just a kid running the streets. He's a young man carrying anger, fear, and a hunger to prove he's not someone to overlook. And in Season 3, that hunger might push him into a path he can't turn back from. D-Mac has always been caught between two worlds of family he wants to trust and the streets that raised him. But now, after everything that happened in Season 2, he's standing in a place where both sides feel shaky. He knows Tommy and JP care about him, but deep down, D-Mac feels like he's still fighting for space in their lives. He wants love, he wants loyalty, and he wants respect. But the problem is that those things don't come easy in Chicago, especially when you grow up surrounded by danger and disappointment. What makes D-Mac different from the other young hustlers is the pain he carries around. He lived most of his life without his father. He had no real guidance, no structure, no one to explain why life kept hitting him hard. The only thing he understood was survival. The streets didn't just tempt him, they shaped him. They taught him to move fast, stay ready, and trust no one unless you want to get hurt. Then Tommy came into his life, and for the first time, D-Mac felt like he had someone who actually believed in his potential. Tommy pushed him, protected him, and tried to steer him away from trouble. But D-Mac is stubborn, and he hates being treated like a kid. Every time Tommy tried to control his choices, D-Mac felt overshadowed, like nobody saw that he was smart enough to make his own moves. At the end of Season 2, this tension grew stronger. D-Mac felt pulled in different directions. Tommy wanted to guide him, JP wanted to save him, and the streets wanted to use him. And because he's young and full of emotion, his reactions are fast, raw, and dangerous. He doesn't always think before he acts, and that's exactly the type of mindset that can lead someone into a war they never planned for. D-Mac wants to prove he's ready to stand on his own 2 feet, but his idea of independence often means diving deeper into risks he doesn't fully understand. Right now, the real battle is happening inside him. On one side, he wants a real future family, safety, a chance to be more than just a corner boy. On the other side, the streets whisper to him like an old friend, reminding him that power and respect come quicker when you aren't afraid to cross the line. He feels the weight of every decision pressing down on him, and the pressure is only getting worse. Chicago isn't a place where you can stay halfway. Eventually, you choose a side, the streets, or a life beyond them. And the scariest part is that D-Mac hasn't made that choice yet. What makes D-Mac's situation even more intense is the people watching him. Tommy sees him as family, but also as a possible weakness if D-Mac's ego becomes a problem. JP is desperate to protect him, but doesn't understand the life D-Mac grew up in. And the rivals on the street. They see a young soldier ready to be turned into either an asset or a target. D-Mac is standing in the middle of these forces, each one pulling at him, each one demanding something different from him. And he's trying to hold himself together while the pressure builds around him. D-Mac wants to rise. He wants control. He wants to show that he's more than just Tommy's nephew or JP's lost son. But the question now is simple: will he rise the right way, or will he rise the way the streets want him to? Because in Season 3, every move he makes will shape the man he is becoming. And the wrong move could be the last one he ever gets to make. Season 2 was the year that turned D-Mac from a confused teenager into someone who finally understood what power feels like and how dangerous it can be. Every moment forced him to grow faster, harder, and smarter. But it also pushed him further away from the safety Tommy and JP tried to give him. The streets didn't just call his name, they dragged him in, tested him, and almost broke him. And once D-Mac got a taste of control, he didn't want to let it go. One of the biggest changes in Season 2 was D-Mac realizing he wasn't just another kid on the block. People saw potential in him, and not the good kind. The type of potential the streets love: quick thinking, fearless energy, and a willingness to jump without hesitating. Rivals watched him, older hustlers whispered about him, and for the first time, D-Mac saw himself as somebody with influence. That feeling was like fuel. It lit something inside him that made him want more, even if he didn't understand the cost. But with that feeling came tension. His relationship with Tommy started to shift. In Season 1, Tommy was the hero, the uncle who saved him, protected him, and pushed him to think bigger. But in Season 2, D-Mac began to see the cracks. He realized that Tommy's world wasn't built for boys trying to become men, it was built for soldiers who follow orders. And D-Mac doesn't follow orders well. Every time Tommy tried to control him, D-Mac felt smaller, like he was being treated as a kid who couldn't think for himself. That frustration turned into anger, and that anger turned into distance. At the same time, D-Mac's bond with JP took a new shape. JP finally tried to step into the father role he had missed for so long, but reconnecting with his son who survived the streets isn't simple. JP wanted to protect him, to rescue him from the life he knew too well. But D-Mac didn't want saving, he wanted understanding. And the truth is, JP didn't fully understand the world D-Mac came from. Their love for each other was real, but their worlds were too different. This created a constant push and pull between them, JP fighting to bring him home, and D-Mac fighting to stay independent. Then came the moment everything changed, the betrayal he felt from the people closest to him. D-Mac saw moves being made around him, plans, secrets, and decisions that left him feeling like a pawn instead of family. When you're young and trying to find your place, being treated like a pawn cuts deeper than anything. D-Mac started to believe that he needed to look out for himself because no one else was doing it the way he needed. That belief became the seed of independence that Season 2 planted deep inside him. As the season went on, D-Mac learned how fast life can flip. One day you're on the rise, and the next day you're running from threats you didn't even see coming. He started to notice how quickly loyalty can break, how easily trust can disappear, and how fast the streets can decide whether you live or die. These lessons were harsh, but they changed him forever. Instead of seeing Tommy as a leader, he started seeing him as competition. Instead of seeing JP as a guide, he started seeing him as someone who couldn't keep up. And instead of seeing the streets as dangerous, he saw them as an opportunity. By the end of Season 2, D-Mac wasn't the same boy he was at the start. He had confidence, but it came with sharp edges. He had ambition, but it grew from pain. He wanted control, but he didn't yet understand the price that comes with it. Everything he experienced, every betrayal, every mistake, every moment of danger built the version of D-Mac we're about to see in Season 3. And that version is more unpredictable, more determined, and more dangerous than ever before. Everything D-Mac went through in Season 2 didn't just change him, it carved new motivations deep into his mind. Now, walking into Season 3, he isn't just reacting to the world around him anymore. He's planning, thinking, and moving with a purpose. He knows what he wants, and he's willing to step into danger to get it. The question is no longer who D-Mac is. The real question now is, what is he trying to become? And the answer isn't simple, because D-Mac's motivations are a mix of pain, ego, ambition, and the need to survive. At the center of everything is his hunger for respect. D-Mac has spent most of his life being ignored, underestimated, or treated like someone who needed to be fixed. People cared for him, yes, but they didn't see him. Not the way he wanted. Tommy treats him like a kid who needs guidance. JP treats him like someone who needs saving. Even the people on the streets look at him like he's too young to be taken seriously. And that eats at him every single day. Respect isn't just a want for D-Mac, it's a wound. A wound that Season 3 might push him to heal in the only way he knows how, taking power instead of asking for it. Another major motivation driving him is independence. D-Mac doesn't want to be under Tommy's shadow forever. He loves his uncle, but he also feels like Tommy's presence makes him invisible. Every move D-Mac tries to make is immediately compared to what Tommy would do. Everyone sees Tommy's name before they see D-Mac's face. That kind of pressure makes him want to break free and build something of his own. He wants to prove that he can survive without Tommy, without JP, without anyone. And the dangerous part is that independence often leads him into choices that blur the line between bravery and recklessness. Then there's the emotional storm inside him, loyalty mixed with betrayal. D-Mac wants to stand by his family, but he also can't forget the moments where he felt pushed aside and heard or left out. Season 2 created a crack in his trust, especially toward Tommy. He respects Tommy, but he also resents him. That resentment is silent, but it grows every time D-Mac feels like Tommy treats him as a liability instead of an asset. This puts D-Mac in a fragile space where he's torn between being loyal to family and loyal to his own growth. And when that kind of split exists, one wrong situation can flip loyalty into conflict. There's also the weight of his past pain that still lives with him. D-Mac carries memories of struggle, loneliness, and violence. Those memories don't fade just because life gets better. They stay with him, shaping how he sees the world. Deep down, he fears becoming weak. He fears being powerless. And the streets taught him that weakness is a death sentence. So he keeps moving fast, acting tough, pushing limits, because slowing down feels dangerous. This fear becomes motivation. It pushes him to make moves before others make moves on him. But maybe the biggest motivation of all is his desire to create his own identity. D-Mac wants to be someone, not just another boy trying to survive Chicago. He wants a legacy, even if he doesn't say it out loud. He wants people to remember him as someone who built something real, someone who held his own, someone who didn't bow down to anyone, not even Tommy. This desire can lead him to greatness or destruction depending on the choices he makes. All of these motivations respect. Independence, loyalty, fear, identity, they blend together into a storm that drives D-Mac into Season 3 with a fire he never had before. He's ready to fight for the future he believes he deserves. But the problem is the streets don't care about belief. They care about power. They care about strategy. And they care about who's willing to go further than everyone else. D-Mac is stepping into a season where every motivation pushing him forward could also pull him into deeper danger. And whether he rises or falls will depend on how he handles the pressure that's waiting around every corner. Season 3 is setting the stage for D-Mac to step into the most unpredictable chapter of his life. Everything he's learned, every scar he carries, and every decision he makes is pulling him toward crossroads that could either make him stronger or break him completely. What makes his next move so intense is the fact that he's no longer the kid running behind Tommy. He's someone with real desire, real ambition, and real anger. And those emotions open the door to multiple paths, each one more dangerous than the last. One possible direction is D-Mac finally building his own crew. He's young, but he understands the streets in a way that gives him a natural connection with the next generation of hustlers. The younger crowd respects him because he's one of them, sharp, fast, and not afraid to stand up for himself. If D-Mac decides to step into leadership, he could easily attract a circle of loyal, hungry young guys who feel overshadowed by the older players in Chicago. This would give him power, independence, and a voice that's all his own. But it also puts him directly in the line of fire. Running a crew comes with enemies, heat, and responsibilities he may not be ready for. Still, the idea of D-Mac controlling something that belongs to him and only him might be impossible for him to resist. Another path leads him down a darker road. Turning against Tommy. Their bond has always been complicated, built on love but damaged by tension. Tommy sees D-Mac as family, but also as someone who needs discipline. D-Mac sees Tommy as a mentor, but also as someone who keeps getting in the way of his independence. These mixed feelings can turn into conflict fast, especially if D-Mac feels Tommy is holding him back. If the streets sense this divide, they'll be quick to use it. Rivals could whisper in D-Mac's ear, promising him respect and power if he steps away from Tommy. He might be drawn toward alliances that feed his ego but put him on the wrong side of a very dangerous man. Turning on Tommy wouldn't just change D-Mac's path, it could ignite a family war with consequences neither of them can escape. But there's another side too. D-Mac one that still dreams of a life outside the chaos. Deep down, he doesn't want to be consumed by violence. He wants something real, something safe, something different. This opens a third path, D-Mac trying to go legit. Maybe it's school, maybe it's music, maybe it's something as simple as a steady job. JP would push for this path harder than anyone. Tommy would fight against it, scared that the legit world isn't strong enough to protect someone like DMAC. And the streets would never let him walk away easily. Every step toward a clean life brings pressure from both sides' family urging him forward, danger pulling him back. If DMAC chooses this direction, it will be the hardest battle he's ever faced. Not because of the outside threats, but because of the internal struggle between who he was and who he wants to be. Then there's the path that flips the entire story, DMAC becoming Tommy's greatest asset instead of his biggest problem. If Season 3 pushes them closer, DMAC might start learning how the game truly works: strategy, patience, power plays. He could transform from a reckless young soldier into a sharp, methodical player under Tommy's guidance. Together, they could form a partnership stronger than ever, with DMAC finally earning the respect and responsibility he's been craving. But this path demands discipline and loyalty. It demands that DMAC lets go of resentment and learns to move with a clear mind. If he manages that, he could become the most important piece in Tommy's operation. But if he slips even once, the streets won't forgive him. Each of these paths building a crew, turning on Tommy, going legit, or rising beside his uncle creates a different version of DMAC. And the truth is, Season 3 might blend them. He could start on one path and get dragged into another without warning. That's what makes DMAC's future so unpredictable. Chicago is ready to pull him in every direction, and he's standing in the middle, trying to decide which version of himself he wants to become. No matter what he chooses, the consequences will be heavy. And once he takes that first step, there's no going back.